Tell me, how do you feel here in Chile, and what can the fans expect from you in this summer ink?
I feel great in Chile. I just got here, so I have yet to experience, I feel like, a lot. I ate some food so far, and it was really great, and I met a lot of people, and they've been incredibly sweet. I'll be at the Summer Ink Tattoo Festival all weekend, and I guess what the fans can expect is that I'll be doing lots of tattoos and lots of meet and greets, so anybody who wants to come out and say hello, please do, because I'll be there all weekend. Yeah.
When and why do you decide this?
Okay, so I first decided I wanted to start tattooing when I was about 14 years old, but basically nobody would teach me. Being a young girl, there wasn't that many girls tattooing, if any at all, really, at that time. So, I kind of got tired of getting chased out of every tattoo shop asking for an apprenticeship, so I kind of gave up on it. But if you want to fast forward about 4 years, I was 18, I just graduated high school, and I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I knew something with art, but what, I had no idea. So I kind of just started going to college to get general credits to do something, and I had to work this horrible job selling furniture in order to pay for it. And it was really slow at this furniture store, so all I did basically was draw all day. And one of my coworkers one day decided, she's like, I want to try out for a job as a body piercer. Will you give me a ride to a tattoo shop? And I said, sure, why not? So after work, we went. She went and tried out for the job. And while she was doing it, she told the guys, Megan can draw really well. So while I was waiting in the lobby, the guys were like, oh, we hear you can draw us some things. And I was like, all right, cool. So they're like, draw a rose. And I was like, okay. So I drew a rose, and they looked at it, and they were like, oh, wow, that's really great. Draw this, draw that, draw this. And just had me draw a bunch of stuff. And then finally they were like, have you ever done a tattoo before? And I said, no, of course not. And they were like, well, do you want to do one right now? And I was like, are you serious? Right now? And they were like, yes. I was like, okay. I was terrified, but I was like, yes, I'll do it, So the guy that owned the shop set up all his equipment, and he walked through my very first tattoo that night on the shop's apprentice, poor guy.
And how different is to write in a paper and...
Oh, it's completely different. It's not even close to the same thing. It's vibrating, it's moving, it's heavy. You have to know how deep it is. And I didn't know any of these things when I started, okay? No, you can't erase. And my first tattoo was not that great. But it wasn't bad. It started off bad, but I kind of got the hang of it pretty quickly. And they immediately looked at it and said, you know what, we think you have it. Do you want to try to learn how to tattoo? And I said, yes. And that was almost 12 years ago. And here I am.
Let's talk about your own art.
Okay.
You have an inspirator. What kind of artistic expression do you like? Cartoons.
I think really, my particular style changes so much over time because I'm constantly learning, learning new styles, learning new techniques, and I like to try them out all the time. And, over time, different things become trendy and cool, and, I like to try everything out. I think I'm inspired a lot by other tattoo artists. There's so many really amazing tattoo artists these days, and the internet is just a click away. So I'm constantly inspired by other artists, but not even just tattoo artists, but painters, or, things like movies. That's art too, the way somebody directs a movie or lights a movie or, sets, the sets up and everything else. So, I'm inspired by simple things like that, or even fashion. In New York, fashion is a big thing. We have Fashion Week, you have all the runway shows and the clothes, so I'm very inspired by that. And honestly, I could be inspired just by one day I walk down the subway and I see a cool piece of graffiti, or, just the way that, the water is trickling down the wall. Do you know what I mean? You can really derive inspiration from almost everywhere and everything that you see. So I think that a lot of my life in general and where I'm going and what I'm doing reflects. I'm sure there's something on this trip in Chile that's going to influence my artwork this week and probably for the next year,
Valparaíso, Valparaíso, the next city of Viña del Mar, has a lot of graffitis in their walls.
I heard that. Yeah, I would like to go see it. I heard there's walking tours. Is there walking tours you can take? I plan on taking one. So.
It's great. Okay, you work in American Worst Tattoo, your TV show. What's the worst tattoo you have ever seen?
I get this question a lot, and the truth is I've seen so many really, really bad tattoos. It's so hard to pick one. But, I think the worst one that I had to cover up was a girl. She had two really big tattoos on her chest, and they were both very dark, which makes them extra hard to cover. And one was a cowboy boot filled with French fries, and the other was a hot dog sitting in a pocket that said "I Heart Nashville," wearing an Indian headdress and playing a guitar. And they were big and they were bad, like done really bad. And I was just so intimidated by this cover-up because, you know, it's on your chest. Chest is a really hard place to cover it up because usually it needs to be bigger, and there's all kinds of obstacles like your neck that are in the way. You know, so I really had my work cut out for me that day. But you know what? We did it. 3 sessions of like 8 hours later, it was finally covered and it looked great. You know, but that was probably one of the hardest cover-ups I've ever done.
Regret having any of your tattoos? I mean, you see it now and you don't want to have it.
On my body? Yes, I get quite a bit of laser tattoo removal and cover-ups, to be honest with you. Probably at least half of all the tattoos I've had. And that has a lot to do with the fact that when I was young and I first started tattooing, I didn't know anything about tattooing, and I didn't have good influences around me either. So I just started getting all these tattoos because I could. I worked in a tattoo shop. Why not? Hey, this guy's learning. Put that here. Put that there. Put that there. And within the first year, I was like half covered in tattoos. And I took a break for a little bit, but I was still getting tattooed here and there. And now, 10 years later, I realized not only did I make a lot of poor decisions on what I got tattooed, and you know, the artists I was getting tattooed by, I didn't realize how bad they were, but they weren't very good. Now I know that, now that I know better. And also, you know, there's been so many advances in tattooing. Tattoos are just so much better now than they were 10 years ago. And, you know, there's so much technology when it comes to removing tattoos. Laser tattoo removal works amazingly, you know, and it's pretty fast. So I've gotten that done on about 4 tattoos, and I've gotten several tattoos completely redone, you know. I make all the mistakes so that I can educate other people and tell them so they don't have to. So that's why I tell people, think about what you want to get and wait. Educate yourself. Find an artist that's really good, and don't just go to the first one that's like the cheapest, or, you know, the first person you see and you're impressed by. Like, do some research, you know, and make sure you get a good tattoo so you don't have to get tons of laser removal like me.